so embarrassing because I literally got the hot sweats. I became really boy-centric and I was thinking about boys a lot. Obviously, people in the comments were like talking about me. There was a lot of people defending me, which was really nice. Hello, welcome back to this week's episode of Meg It Makes Sense. This week, we are making sense of the Kid Leroy. We are making sense of my weekend, talking about trying not to put a band-aid on your heartbreak and long-term solutions to getting over someone and focusing on yourself. And we're also making sense of cringe. So yeah, that's everything. I hope you enjoy this episode and let's get into it. Okay, I have to tell you guys, literally the funniest thing just happened to me. I'm on TikTok this morning and I was scrolling and the Kid Leroy posted something and I was like, oh, I don't follow him. So I just followed him. And then I went along my day. I went for a walk. I had breakfast. I've just been planning my week. I was on TikTok and then I'm like, the Kid Leroy followed you. And my heart literally sunk. I was like, holy shit, OMG, took a screenshot it. I immediately called my friend James. Some of you guys might know I have a friend, James Joblin, who he also makes TikToks and stuff like that. Anyway, I immediately call him and I tell him and he's like, oh my God, Megan. He's like, you know why he followed you was because XYZ, blah, blah, blah. Like he was literally feeding my delusions as to why the Kid Leroy would follow me. I'm like, oh my God. I go to post it on my story. I check the Kid Leroy. Well, I actually did post it on my close friends. And then I check the TikTok account, the Kid Leroy. And then I realized it was a fake account. So embarrassing because I literally got the hot sweats and James was like, of course he would follow you, da 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 da. And then I had to take it quickly down off my close friends. That is the level of delusion that I'm currently in right now after this whirlwind of breakup and just different things happening. That is the state of my brain that I believed this level of delusion that the Kid Leroy would follow me on TikTok. Which is so embarrassing, but that's also, I feel like, how you know you have a really good friend around you. I wish that I started recording when I called him because it was so funny the way that he was feeding my ego and was telling me it was because XYZ. He had no doubt in his mind at all that the Kid Leroy would follow me. So yeah, very embarrassing, but thankfully it was on my close friends for a second and then I deleted it because imagine how embarrassing that would be if I fully left that up there and then people were like, that's not actually the Kid Leroy. This account just was posting all his videos and had 11 followers. Anyway, that literally just happened, but it's made me think maybe I should do an episode, and hopefully my friends aren't listening to this, but they probably are. Maybe I should do an episode, I think it's Elle Inside, the YouTube channel for Elle Magazine. They do this series on YouTube where they have celebrities prank call their friends and stuff, and I'm thinking that maybe I should do that as an episode. So you guys need to give me prank suggestions, or maybe I can kind of copy off the ones that they did and call my friends and family and see their reaction. I did that AI prank where you pretend a homeless person has come into your house, but I did it on my dad and I took a photo from my bed pointing towards my bedroom door, and I got AI to put a 50-year-old man in the house, and this man looks like a pedophile, if I'm being honest, the AI generated photo. And I sent it to my dad being hey dad, this guy said he's your cousin, so I let him in and I think he thinks that you live with me, and I made up this full story, and dad was about to call the police. He was so worried. He was never do that again to me, and I actually felt really bad about that. So I'll do some more light-hearted pranks like that and get it on the podcast, my friend's reaction. I feel like that would be really funny. All right, let me give you an update on how I'm feeling and my weekend. Obviously, I want to say thanks so much to everyone for listening to last week's podcast episode. That was obviously by far the most well-performing podcast episode I put out. it did so well. And yeah, everyone was like so supportive. I just got so many messages. Like I said last week, like I just got so many messages from people just being so supportive on like saying that they're going through the same thing as me, or like people like giving me advice. Like for example, I posted a video about I'm just having trouble with my eating at the moment. It's just because I'm so anxious all the time, like getting anxious thoughts. And so many girls reached out to me and gave me some really good tips for struggling with eating when you have anxiety, which I really like. I just really appreciate that. And it makes me feel so much less alone. And so many people are going through this and have been through this and come out better the other end. And I'm really thankful for that. And hopefully as I get along with my journey, I'll be able to share those tips and tricks with you guys. In saying that, I was like, oh, I'm going to go out this Saturday, like, and just have fun, because it was my friend Abby's birthday. I was like, yeah, let's just like go out, like have a bit to drink, have fun. And I was happy. We went to like a bar, and then we went out dancing to a club, which was actually, the club was actually not that great. They were playing like Fireball in the club, like, you know what I mean? Which I would prefer like some house music, or like at least something that's a bit more not like early 2000s music. Although I definitely feel like there's a time and a place for that. I just was feeling like I wanted to listen to like some new music, and a lot of the people I was out with were in relationships, and like me and my other friend were kind of like the only single people, which is fine. But yeah, in the Uber home, I got fully depressed in the Uber home, because I was like, wait a minute, like now I just the heightened dopamine of hanging out and like drinking and like being around people, and like the adrenaline of that makes the moments when you're like in the Uber home or you're laying in bed after the night out so lonely. And I just realized that maybe I shouldn't be doing that. But that's okay, because I just need to learn from that. And honestly, it's not that deep. But I think for the next couple weekends, I need to like lay low and just like work on myself without because going out drinking, partying is a little bit of a band-aid for your emotions and your actual feelings. And some big sister advice from me going through this is that you shouldn't do that. Because honestly, on Saturday coming home from the club, I was depressed. Sunday during the day, I was depressed, although I had like friends around me. My roommate and a friend and I just sat in bed and watched that new Monster. What's that? You know, it's the Monster series. I think it's Ed Gein or Ed Glebe, the guy that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie is based on, the guy that would like cut people's skin and like put it on. Anyway, we literally sat in bed all day watching that, and like I fell asleep and then woke up at like 1:30. And honestly, thank God it was a cloudy day, because if it was a sunny, beautiful day, that probably would have made me feel worse and made me feel like I'm wasting my day. But I think for the next couple of weeks, while I'm still healing, I need to not be drinking, because that's just a band-aid. It's not a long-term fix. And I need to be enjoying my Saturdays and enjoying my Sundays as well, and like working on me and being with friends in like a healthy way, not with like in like a drinking, partying way. Those are my goals for the next couple weeks. In saying that, I will talk about this later, but I found, because I was drinking and partying this week, which I don't condone, I became really boy-centric. And I was thinking about boys a lot, which I'm going to get into after the Make It Make Sense, which is also another band-aid thing, which I don't want to fall into. And we're going to talk about that. This week's Make It Make Sense is Make It Make Sense, cringe. I think that is something, not to circle back to my relationship, but that is something that my ex really taught me, is that cringe gets you nowhere in terms of like thinking about people calling you cringe or whatever. Because I know I do a bunch of things like posting videos online, saying things, just doing certain things that I know like people I went to school with or people I know would say and would call me cringe behind the scenes. But cringe is people only call you cringe when you haven't quite made it. yet. And I was listening to the Happy Hour with Lucy and Nikki podcast with Kelly Holiday, and they touched on it. And that was actually something I really needed to hear, because since the breakup, I've kind of been thinking outward a bit more and like thinking about how I'm perceived and what people think of me, which I never really cared about when I was in a relationship, because obviously I already had my partner. You know, I just didn't care about it, which now all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm having all these inner thoughts of like, I want people to think I'm like cool and I want people to not think I'm cringe. But realistically, you have to kind of climb that cringe mountain to get where you want to go. Like, especially for me, I've realized that I have like all these like goals and aspirations, and I need to be out there with them and maybe a little bit cringe to finally get to that point of success that you need to get to. And the people calling you cringe are usually the people that you don't really care about opinion. Like, for example, my sister sent me this thing the other day being like, you wouldn't take advice from people less successful than you. So I don't care if people that I don't know, or people that don't understand me, or people that don't understand where I want to be and where I want to go in life, call me cringe. So I'm taking that on going forward. Like, for example, I posted a video of me like just dancing around my living room, and I had that thought before I posted it, like, oh my God, are people going to think this is cringe? And then I thought, hold on a minute. The only person that it matters to is me. And I felt like posting it, and I felt good about it, and that was how I was feeling. So I did it. Even with the podcast, like, you know, okay, this is the thing. This girl posted a video on TikTok being like, oh, I don't understand when people start posting on TikTok and making a breakup like their whole personality, and like that's what they become known for. And I honestly, and then she was talking about something about like saying bad things about your ex, and like that's why you get views and stuff. And I don't think she was talking about me personally, because I haven't really been saying anything bad about my ex, even though sometimes maybe his behavior is questionable. I haven't been like saying anything bad about him. I've only just been like talking about how I'm healing and like how I'm getting through it mostly. Anyway, but obviously because of everything that's been going on, and like Australia is such a small place and everyone is in everyone else's business, obviously people in the comments were like talking about me. There was a lot of people defending me, which was really nice, because God forbid a woman talk about anything, you know. I do think that the girl that posted it did not come from a place of like malice. Is that the right word, malice? Watch me on this podcast just like making up random words. But the internet is just so like, things can be perceived in such different ways, and the girl that made that video did apologize to me, but then she like didn't really delete the comments that were bad about me. She kept the video up for quite a while, but then I don't know what happened. She either blocked me or went private or deleted her TikTok, so I really don't know what went on there. Yeah, because the video went quite viral. But what was I saying? She made that video, and then I got a comment on it being like, and then she goes on her podcast and like throw shade at the ex-boyfriend or whatever. And I'm like, honestly, people probably find it cringe, me talking about the breakup online and whatever, making it my whole personality apparently or whatever. I've just never done this before, because I've obviously been doing TikTok for a while, but like just as like a little like fun side thing. Only now am I actually posting about like what I'm going through, how I'm feeling, etc., which I've never done before. I've just been posting like relatable videos or funny videos, or like, I don't know, just stupid like get ready with me. And like only now that I'm posting really personal stuff, and then people 100% can call you cringe behind the scenes, but only now that I'm posting this really personable stuff have I grown in followers and stuff like that. Like, people love the drama, but people love like being personal. Obviously, like there's a certain extent that it can go to. Like sometimes people take it too far, like, and can have such an opinion on people and people get so invested, kind of like when I spoke about parasocial relationships, like in other people's lives. But yeah, I think people just love the drama of it all. And I don't know how I circle back to cringe. This is the thing, I just completely lose my train of thought. But right now, I think I'm trying to live by that whole thing of like, I don't chase, I attract, but not for men, more for like, I'm not going to care how I'm being perceived, what people think of me, if I'm being cringe. I just know that I'm a good person with good morals. I have a good head on my shoulders. I'm going to do what I want to do for me and what feels right and what feels like, yeah, just what feels right and what feels good for me, and not be worried about cringe. I think if you're someone that's cringing at someone else trying to make it, like, that's just embarrassing for you. Like, even, I'm going to relate this back to my friend Abby. My friend Abby started making like TikToks and videos about, I think maybe she was going through a breakup or something, struggling with mental health. And she would post a lot of videos of her like crying and with some kind of text on the screen, whether it was like motivating or whether it was just like sharing a sad thought. And she's opened up to our friends and I, saying about like how much like people that she used to go to school with would like hate on her forever for it or whatever. But honestly, doing that like what felt right for her, and that has built her to have like, she does social media now as a career, and she does social media for other businesses, and that has led her to be where she is today. And if she let the people that were cringing affect her, then she wouldn't have persisted and have this career and have this life for herself. And I think you can say that about so many artists or like people that start businesses and stuff like that. If they let cringe or people cringing at them affect them, then they wouldn't be able to succeed. You know, like even if you have a business idea, or like maybe you have a crush on someone or something like that, like something that you want to go after in your life, I'm all for, in this moment in my life, saying it with my full chest. Like, yeah, I want to do this. Yes, I want to do that. Going on from this topic of cringe, with my breakup, I found that suddenly I have like goals and dreams that are so detached because I centered my life so much around my partner. Now I have my own goals and my own dreams that I'm like willing to say with my full chest. Like, I suddenly have decided that, hey, like maybe I should take some like classes in presenting or public speaking, because I would really like to do presenting, public speaking, hosting things like that. I would really love to get into like that media space. And I'm willing to say that with my full chest. I have goals for this podcast. I want to keep it going. I want to be authentic with it. I want it to be successful. And I'm willing to say that with my full chest. And if that makes other people cringe, the only person that is affecting is them. It's not affecting me, because I don't feel cringe. I actually feel really happy and inspired by it. And I really encourage everyone that is listening to, if you have things that you want to do, goals, dreams, it could be literally from the smallest thing, being like, for example, I have a crush on that person. Telling that person you have a crush on them, just do it. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Is they're going to be like, sorry, I don't like you back, you know? Or if you have a business idea, if you put it out into the universe and be like, hey, I want to do this as a business or whatever, just say it with your full chest and you will manifest it into existence. People will accept it. And when you tell yourself something, you change your brain chemistry to believe it, and it will happen. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe it makes sense. I don't know. But in 2020, we're in 2025, 2020 thrive. We're nearing the end of 2020 thrive. We are not going to be cringing at other people. Just let them live their life. And you are not going to worry about what people think about yourself. And even by me saying this out loud right now, I'm telling myself that I am not worried about what other people think about me, or if they're going to cringe at me doing a certain thing. I literally just posted a TikTok being like, oh, I want to be on reality TV so many people would probably watch that and be like, oh, that's so cringe that she's saying that. But like, do I care? No, I don't, because I do. That is something that I want to do. So I honestly do not care if people find it cringe. Okay. I always get on those tangents, and I think I went a little bit like skewed on that to what my original point was. But the next thing I wanted to talk about was when you break up with someone, you need to make sure, like I said before, that you're not doing these like band-aid fixes because they don't work. You need to heal for the long term. So one of those things is trying not to become boy-centric. Now, what I mean by that was like, honestly, the first week of my breakup was, mentally getting over it, like going through all the grief. Honestly, I've recorded that podcast. Some of the things I don't agree with what I said. And I'm sure other people didn't either who have been through a breakup. But that is okay because it felt right in the moment. And then what I'm saying right now feels right in the moment. The second and third week has been like, I'm just going to be so for real with you guys. Like, I was like really thinking about boys, and I like started talking to some people, and I don't know, like I was just talking to my friends about boys a lot. I quickly realized on the weekend that does not make you feel any better. And I don't know how to say this without getting like spilling too much. But talking to boys when you've just been through a breakup doesn't make you feel any better, because you just can't get over someone that quickly. And yeah, in the moment, like you have that dopamine hit because maybe someone's like filling your ego or like saying nice things to you. But in the long term, you're like, okay, well, that person that I'm talking to or whatever is not him. And I think I will need a bit more recovery time before I start like getting into all that. But that was a learning experience from the weekend, because I realized, yeah, I just want to focus on myself, and all men are the same, and I don't really care. As much as everything is not that, I'm trying not to take talking to boys and that too seriously right now, which is really hard because like you don't want to give other people the wrong idea or lead people on. And I've never understood when people are like, I'm not looking for a relationship right now, because I've always thought like, well, if you're like talking to people, like obviously you're looking, like why would you hook up with someone if you're not wanting a relationship? But only now do I actually understand that, which is crazy. And I find that, I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but when I was younger, I used to like throw out all these statements that now, like when you go through certain things, you're like, oh my God, I was so uneducated, or I was so naive to like say those things when I hadn't actually been through that situation. And you go through the situation and you're like, hang on, it's actually not that easy, because sometimes you want something, but it's not right for you, if that makes sense. I'm being very vague here because I don't want to like say too much, but I want you guys to be able to understand. And I think, I've seen it with a lot of my friends, like you go through a breakup and then all of a sudden all you care about is getting validation and male attention. And that was something that last week I really experienced. But from the weekend, I learned that doesn't help you in the long term. Another thing I saw on TikTok was, if you're thinking about him, or if you're thinking about boys, whatever, if you're thinking about dating someone or you're thinking about hooking up with someone, you're not busy enough. And that has really resonated with me now. And so I've wrote out a list of like all my goals and like things that I want to do for me that don't revolve around like dating someone, hooking up with someone, etc. I'm trying to get my validation from other parts of my life. And I don't know like what girls, boys, whatever need to hear this, but there will always be people out there that are willing to give you that validation, especially when after you've gone through a breakup. You don't need that, because it will always be there, not no one's going anywhere. There's always going to be single people. But honestly, when I went out on the weekend, I was like, wow, the pool is shallow. No offense. I think I was just in the wrong place. But to be fair, I was mostly just with my friends. In saying this, you know what was really inspiring though? I watched the Victoria Beckham documentary. And she is someone who, you know, had this huge career for herself and then got married super young, had kids really young, and her whole life was shaped around her husband, and the media really portrayed her as like this wag, so that like that's all that she had. But she has done so many other things to prove to everyone else and prove to herself that she is a whole nother person without him, even though she still loves him. And I think that was really important for me to watch that documentary in this current stage that I'm going through, to find that, okay, we can be strong women without these people. Like, you don't need a man attached to you to like have all these things going for you. And that's the era I'm in right now. So I'm seriously not looking for any relationships or like situationships or anything like that. And I'm focusing on not being obsessed with boys. Like, if a guy DMs me or something like that, I'll talk to him or whatever. But I'm not really interested unless something amazing comes along. It's also hard to turn off the feelings that you have for like someone for 5 years. You know, like it's hard to just stop loving that person. Like, you can't, you know. So it's such a slow process. You have to keep reminding yourself of like maybe all the bad things that person did to you, or how they made you feel, or if they didn't do bad things to you, you just need to remember why it was important for you to move on at this point in your life. I made a TikTok, get ready with me, answering your questions about the breakup. I just kind of touched on a few things, but I'm kind of trying to slowly transition into like getting away from the breakup content, although I know that is like really helping people heal and get over it. So I think I want to do an episode about like your assumptions about me, or like answering questions and prank calling my friends. I feel like that would be really fun. So if you want me to do that, let me know. And maybe I'll put a question box up on the Meg It Makes Sense Instagram account, and you guys can do assumptions and questions. Some of the questions I got asked, I obviously can't answer because I don't want to get to like the nitty gritty of our relationship. I'm trying to just keep my ex out of it, even though the search bar on like my videos is just always his name. I am more than just my relationship, you know? Hopefully you guys were able to take away something from this episode. Again, it was like kind of another short one because I'm just trying to figure all this out and make sense of everything. Literally the name of this podcast, Meg It Makes Sense. And I'm trying to make it make sense of my life, honestly. But thank you guys so much for listening again. You know, the support has been amazing, and I promise you that, I know I said this last week, but I promise you next week's episode will be fun and hopefully not around breakup content, unless you guys still want to hear that from me. Thanks so much. Follow Make It Make Sense on YouTube, Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. Love you guys so much. And I need to come up with some kind of outro slogan. Bye.